My apologies for 2 minutes late. Sorry about that. No, the last one. Okay. The images are loading on my side. So maybe let's start from the top left hand from the drawings. I'll send the link in the chats. Okay. And also in the chats. Here. Okay, shall we start by the first one, top left hand? So I see it's basically one of the drawings has been dropped there, but there's some modification. So who is the author of that drawing? Who is the author of the drawing, top left hand in the red circle? Hello, do you guys hear me? Kelvin, you guys can you share your video? Kelvin, Oswin, Maxwell, Uta, Nathan, Jess, Ceci, James, Chan, can you please share? Thanks. Who is the author of the top left-hand drawing? Top left-hand drawing.
That's mine.
Okay, great. Can you please walk us through? I see that you have some comments and then you have made more drawings.
Yeah. So basically, what I was trying to do was to break down my entire individual design into like devices that can be implemented into any shape or form. So if we collectively come up with like whatever shape of the platform, these devices can just easily plug into them. So the first one is the electricity generator. And then the second is the sea bin trash collection device, and then the marine protected zone. So all these can be just easily plugged in to any platform. And then the devices will lead to like public engagement of all these other things. That was what I was trying to do in the drawing.
In the top right hand, I can see there's also like coffee tables.
So my idea is that each device can lead to like a program or a function that can engage with people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Does anybody have a question about this design? We're going to just go through all the designs and anybody has a question about those three, please? Energy, waste collection, and MPA. In the marine protected area, I see there's kind of a wall at the bottom left. Is it completely separated? The water is separated, or is it, is it a hard barrier and the water quality is different in the MPA than from outside, or is it the same water?
I was hoping that would be the same, but I don't know if that works. But originally in my design, it would be the same. Like it's like a semi-permeable, maybe like a net thing that we can foster marine life in and then let them go into the wild.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer. So we go lower. So this looks like, so who is this one?
This is my drawing?
Yeah.
I kind of took Oswin's the platform design and then trying to integrate it as a more modular platform. So like 2 sections can be like the viewing deck, just like my design. but then like on the other side there can be like the C-bin device. It doesn't have to be just a C-bin device, but like it's modular design. That's the whole idea.
That's cool. So for the C-bin, maybe we need to clarify how it works. You're aware that to get for the waste to want to go into the C-bin, you basically need to pump a lot of water, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So are you implying that under this very large container, there's also like a very large pump?
So actually the pump is actually within the C-bin itself, like in the areas, like, how do I describe it? The two blobs on the sides, like there is a pump. It's already integrated, so you don't actually need the pump to be somewhere near or like on the platform itself. It can be just integrated inside. But then that's the problem that I got from the previous reviews, that like plastic ocean waste is not only limited to like physical big chunks of garbage. It can be like microplastic and stuff like that, and it doesn't really the C-bin doesn't really help that problem. That's my own concern.
So if you said it doesn't solve the problem, like why would you want to implement that particular technology?
Because I'm trying to put it like near, like in Hong Kong, there are so many beaches and like coastal areas where there are a lot of rubbish, like actual physical rubbish. So that may work, I think, for Hong Kong wise. But then in terms of like the bigger, broader picture, like the design doesn't really work in terms if you put it in the ocean like that.
I mean, for cleaning the whole. Would you be able to share your camera? Would you be able to share your camera so I could see you?
Oh, sorry. I think I had my low label stuck. Hello, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the half sphere that are under the kind of floor line? Are they like lights or what are they?
Sorry, can you point out the parts that you're talking about?
Sure. Here.
Oh, that's the profile of Osman CC's platform.
Oh, I see.
That's a little dip. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So I can see that you have multiple layers. So is this one that has a stroke, like is it glass, and then what would that one be?
Oh, glass, and then inside is a climbing ladder.
Oh, climbing ladder.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think this is too big of a construction for us to make, I think. Yeah,
anything underwater would have to have a lot of weight, and it would have to hold a lot of pressure. So that would be pretty expensive. Possible too, but expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for this design from the peers? C-bin device in Colab. No question. Okay.
So it would be glass underwater, right?
It's probably not glass. It's probably like polycarbonate or something, because glass itself is very heavy. It's probably some kind of plastic. Because I don't think they use glass for like a lot of underwater structure, unless it's proper like concrete building wise. Then they can integrate plastic into it. But then for these kind of like modular movable stuff, I think they'll just use polycarbonate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Actually, the fact that it's heavy may be a good thing. So I think it's going to be more like a question of price. Yeah, polycarbonate also quite expensive. Okay, so the next one.
Yeah. Basically, the design is actually integrating fish farming with debris collecting devices. It's actually like a circular thing with different layers, and the outer layer is the largest mesh, and then the medium mesh, and then the small mesh. So it allows passively filter the different size of the plastics, and inside the finest mesh, which is the fish farming, because ideally, after all the filter, the rubbish, the water inside will be cleanest, which is good for farming. So this is the basic ideas of the design. And I actually integrate playfulness inside, inspired by our colleagues, so that when people engage in actually observing the debris or collecting the debris, or even they observe the ecology inside the fish farming community, they can also step on a button, and that button will give some mechanical pull to make the mesh of the outer layers folds, so that the mesh can be discarded, and then the rubbish can be removed with the mesh as well, and the mesh will be replaced.
So the circle in the middle is a platform for people to walk on top, and then you have consent or like radial arrangement of the nets.
Yeah.
You imagine the protected area to be on the outer ring or on the inner ring? I'm not sure.
Maybe near the shore, because for easier access to the fish farming.
So the circle is here. The fish are inside, protected from the pollution.
Yeah, and then the pollution can be, the debris can be easily removed because they are trapped by the mesh, and like they can be removed like with the mesh, like a plastic soup on the water.
And the bottom is open, so the fish can swim in and out, or is the bottom closed, so the fish are in an enclosed area, or they're in an open water area?
You mean the bottom of the design?
Yeah.
The very bottom part.
Where the fishes are the fish in an open area, or are they in a closed?
Maybe it could be an experimental fish farming that integrates the fish by human, so that it could be. I'm still make it closed, entirely closed, or just let the fish engage. Yeah, this can be further considered. Of course, if we close it, they won't be able to. There won't be rubbish to be washed in as well. But I think for the bottom, if the mesh is tall enough, the rubbish couldn't be actually washing, as most of them are floating on the surface of the water.
Interesting. It's very interesting design. Question from your peers?
Hello. Is it possible to add like a device that mentioned last time, that the bubble can come up from the bottom, so that the net won't trap the fish, but only the debris, only the trash floating on the sea?
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea, though I think to create those bubbles might need quite complicated kinetic devices, which I'm not sure about the technology, and within the time limit, whether we can work out the technology yet. So I'm trying to put this device near the shore, so the large, most of the fish won't be actually trapped it, as the fish actually, as far as I know, they mainly engage with outer shore because of the water quality. So I try to put it near the shore, but that's a very good idea. It would be great if we can integrate the bubbles technology into this design.
I think in this, I think it's, what's the name? I forgot. You probably know this this building that has a spray that's misted. I forgot the name of the.
Okay, I was thinking for the C-beam, it will has a pump, like water pump. I was thinking if we can integrate that, but there should be a water pump at the bottom to pull the water. So maybe it can also do the like bubble or water spray.
Maybe we can try. Yeah.
I forgot the name of this artist. There's a group of architects that are using mist as an element of the architecture. I will find it, I'm sure, but I have the name on the tip of my tongue. But they use mist as an element, and I think the idea of bubbles as an element, I think technology-wise, of course, is more complicated than the nets or the mesh, but it's not that complicated. It's basically an air pump. I would say that the biggest challenge may be the electricity, like how much electricity it's using is bringing power on the platform. But yeah, it's just a side note. Okay. Okay. So this idea.
This idea is to combine the trash bin with the fish farm unit, and also with the underwater camera that can spin around to look at the situation around it and send images to watch how many trash it collects or the living condition of the fish farm. And the source for electricity is to provide it by the solar panel. But I'm not sure if that is enough for the operating the camera.
For the camera, probably would be okay. In practice, for pump, the pump maybe might need much more electricity than a camera. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, like the pump may. I saw a kind of device that the pump can be charged, and it can provide electricity but only for three hours for the underwater diving.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very small.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something that's quite doable. Like if you're using a low power computer, like a Raspberry Pi, without a display, like without the usual thing that you have on the laptop or on the tablet, the energy can be very, very low. If you read up about Pi 0 and camera, consumption is super low. So I think like a regular solar panel could be enough to power it almost non-stop. Yeah. Cool. Okay. The next design.
Yeah, I was thinking about how we combine all the things together in a easy fabricated and reasonable pattern. A kind of learning from Oswin and Ceci that modularize the platform, which can provide a buoyancy, basically separate all the things in small units. The pattern how we connect them would be in a linear way. The fish farm and the lab or some educational place can share a single channel to be connected. They are fixed by ropes, and the ropes are attaching each other so they won't spread away and crash. And the debris collector can lay it in the almost layer. If we got enough money to have more floating units, I mean this pads, so we can make them a loop to protect the core function, which is similar to Maxwell's design that he mentioned just now. So in this case, what we need basically first these floating pads as much as possible. But the material, I think, is I'm not considered it yet. And the second, raft for people to stay on it for the purpose, whatever research or educational use. We may need 1 or 2 inside. So the first one is a fish farm raising both algae and fish. And finally, some easy fabricated debris collector, just like what Maxwell did, and many ropes to be used for connect. Yes, that's all.
Do you imagine? I mean, it's a pretty technical question, but maybe it's. I think it helps to imagine how to build it. Do you imagine that one unit of pontoon is strong enough to support the weight of 1 person or 2 person, or you need to have the whole pontoon so that you could walk on it?
I think it depends on the things Jessica and Gavin did. Maybe if we just put some like a coffee table on it, I think it's fine to have a small raft.
Okay. Cool.
And they can also be shipped. I mean, dragged by a boat to move. Yeah.
Do you have an idea of dimensions that you think I can see that you have the scale of people?
Yeah.
Is it like 1 meter by 1 meter, like a very basic grid, or you have another idea of like what would be desirable, like 3 by 1, or?
I'm not sure yet, but I think this dimension looks okay for us to build. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think it's definitely possible. Yeah. Fish farm, education use, and collection of debris. I see. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. This one has quite a bit of texts. Okay.
Yeah. This is line drawing.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I was thinking about most of the like a construction manner, because I think the modular approach of from the colleagues is quite good in terms of construction and also transportation stuff, etc. So I'm thinking like in the sketch I break it down like in a different parts. Like in the structure part, we could apply like a bamboo scaffolding structure, or maybe the structure that is applied by the local fishermen, which they have their fish farm, so that the structure could be easier to handle if we could get some advice from them. So ease our burden on the about the floating part of the design. So basically, if we apply such as like a grid structure here, the void in between could somehow becomes the plug-in of those devices, which we could alter the size of the grid so that we could inserting different parts like the algae farming, maybe, or like the interactive devices from the seeding devices from other colleagues, so that they could like plug in a way that in a grid structure like this could become easier for us to allocate the functions and also the circulation of the whole structure, in which we could like setting up like forings onto the structure, so that could create some kind of platform over here. And I was also considering like if the structure goes in this way, is somehow could be like the structure itself become the debris collection layering through the vertical elements, which we could construct nets or mesh to avoid debris from going in. Maybe the farming is like in the most near the shoreline, like in the inner part, and then the outer part could be some filtering. And then we could also have some interactive device for separating debris, for etc. So yeah, I'm basically drawing like an overview of how I think about the project could be look like. Yeah.
So you would have the debris on the outer ring, like similar to your colleague's idea, or
Yeah, I think it's like but it's not in a ring structure, but it's a more like a sequential, like a grid structure. So layer by layer by layer, so that we could control which part could be more eco-friendly to the marine lives, and also which part would be more debris accumulating, so that we could do something to handle it. Yeah, it's basically quite similar to maybe like Maxwell, but that he is in a like a circular planning. But I'm thinking of it to become like a more like a orthogonal form, like the local fish farming platforms that was used.
okay, cool. You think the flooring would be removable? Is it something we just put when people come, and then most of the time it's just like kind of a quote unquote naked platform? Or do you think that there's a platform for people to stand on top of permanently?
Yeah, I think I think the flooring should be like a permanent one, so that we could avoid like the stepping into like the maybe the algae farming part, because in this design it was like separated on the top of the water, in which we could have the interactive devices, and then on the lower part would be the farming and also the collection stuff. So it's like quite separated in that sense, so that I think the permanent flooring is necessary.
Is there any question for this kind of grid, like a bamboo grid based design? I mean, for me, what comes to my mind is that bamboo is a very nice material. It's very, it's organic, so it's biodegradable. It's great. I wonder if we're going to do it in practice, if we're going to be using like PVC pipe, because it doesn't rot. Whereas bamboo, you would have to change every few months. So I'm wondering in terms of usage, like with the same design, if we're giving the option to the fishermen, like, would you prefer to have it in plastic or would you prefer to have it in bamboo? I wonder what option they would take. For us, I think it's because it's going to be just temporary experimentation, then bamboo makes total sense. But I wonder what they will choose.
Yeah, I think it's worth considering the opinions from the local fish farmer, because the structure is a similar kind to theirs. So,
right. Do you know what they use? What kind of use they use? Do they use bamboo or do they use another type of wood for their platform typically?
I don't have idea on that. Maybe need some kind of like researching or interview to the fishermen.
Okay. Then you have the machine from the future. So who is made that hexagon?
That's me. So I'm also trying to combine everyone's design. So for the overall shape is following the fishermen and seafood group, and also the coastal communities group, because it's like basically a deck surrounding the center, and then in the center it can either be a sea bean or like fish farming. And then the overall shape is to have the most heavy like gravity center at the bottom. So this is the bottom view, viewing from under the sea. And then the form, like the hexagon, is inspired by the ocean scientists. And then it can also be a modular thing, like inspired by the CC and Oswin group. And then for these step, like different intervals of frame, is actually because the activist group mentioned about plastic collection with different size, different hole, like the mesh well just did. And then I was thinking if we can do a different intervals vertically, and also which is also to protect the fish from getting trapped inside. And then for the decking material, I was thinking about cost efficient, because I was thinking maybe we can use a fish net for intention for the decking, in that way, we can also create an interactive like sea landscape. And because here the net is connected to the C-beam, so if there are more trash, it will be heavier, and then the floor will be sunken. And then in different scenario, it will have different spatial thing, and then it may be educational for the people. And then it's also easy to remove the top net, and then you can collect the trash collect in the beam from top, and then you can reattach the net to the frame. And then I was also struggling whether I should combine fish farming with C-beam, because it may affect one is in polluted water, and then the other should be in clean water. So I was thinking maybe depending on our cost, maybe we can have two separate scenario or two separate module with similar framework for different purpose. And then the bottom page is thinking about material, because for the floating tank, I saw in Hong Kong, people use this kind of the blue tank for storing something on the water. And then the second one is a fish farm in Japan, and they normally also use that kind of water tank, and also some timber maybe for the decking. And then for the C-beam, because some people say it's actually polluting the water to use more plastic. So I was thinking if we can use bamboo like basket, the weaving for the C-beam, and then the bottom will be attaching a motor for the water pumping, and then the floor is referencing from the photo there. Like you can see someone is sleeping on the net. Yeah, that's all.
So when the centerpiece goes down, it is filled with water, isn't it?
Yes, water can go through.
Is this also your idea with the umbrella underneath it? Or is this somebody else's idea?
It's not mine.
The umbrella is mine.
Okay. So it's connected to the idea of both? Or?
Yeah. So basically when it opens, I'm imagining that the structure of the umbrella becomes the connected points to the different modules or prototypes around the umbrella, so that we could put in different functions. So and then when the typhoon comes, I'm imagining that it could close as well to kind of act as like a shelter for the ecology within.
It reminds me of the there's this thing, you probably know this toy, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering if it's not it's a dome that's expands. Hoberman sphere. That's the name I was searching. Hoberman sphere. And you imagine you have propellers at the bottom. What are the functions of the propellers down there?
To move, because I think collecting algae might be important. So I think that the rotation of the structure is important as well. So yeah.
And you imagine that the water line is where the people's feet are? Or
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
higher?
Yeah,
Okay.
approximately there. Yep.
I see. Okay. Any question for the hexagon or the umbrella design?
May I ask the dimension of the hexagon design?
hexagon design can you mention, Kanosa?
You mean why it's in hexagon? I was thinking in geometry because the corner is like less like sharp. So maybe for the water current or like the resistance, maybe I was thinking maybe it can be less prone to strong wind or like I'm actually not sure. I think can be rectangle too.
Mhm.
And I was
Can
also
you
thinking,
tell us about the dimension of your design? Thank you.
The size, the scale. How big is it in meters?
2 meter in one, like, so the longest pond from one pond to the other is 4 meter.
Okay, so 4 meters. Okay. And how is the structure? Is it static or is it mobile? So like the inner circle can be lifted, or is it fixed?
I was thinking maybe if we can make it lift, like flatten the whole thing and carry away, it would be best. But also thinking if we can really do that joint with only maybe timber, because if we do the joint the like umbrella movable part, maybe we need some metal or we can 3D print, but that is expensive.
Okay. And the last idea, 3 by 3. Can the author describe what we're looking
Hello?
at? Yeah.
Yeah, so for this is CC and I. So basically, we kind of discussed upon the comments we have received from the critics last time. And then there's basically two. One, it's maybe some we can see both sides, but yeah. So one, it's one comment. It's basically the fact that it's quite inflexible when the wave, due to the wave impact of the energy, right? And the second second problem, it's basically the scalability, because it's kind of fixed with a rigid frame. So we kind of made it actually more discrete in a way that it's no longer a square, but actually kind of this wedge-like parts where you can actually connect each other.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the joint here, this is actually the joint between the parts, and we kind of left a gap between the kind of the joint because of the tolerance for the wave. And this is actually referencing those floating platform that's usually used. And then, so if we look above here, it's kind of to showcase the fact that if we go actually even more kind of discrete about this particular part, we can actually increase the scale of the framework to allow different sizes of module instead of having it to be like the previous one, a 1.5 by 1.5. So that would mean that we actually have 3 different kind of parts for in order for this to happen. Yeah.
So you have the platform, you have the connector, and then you have the kind of the pins.
Yep. The platform is like the framework constructed together. Then I mean this kind of individual parts, and yeah. So it's actually allowing it's mostly to allow more flexibility for the usage, as well as to kind of deal with the impact of the wave. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So what we're going to do now, so in order to vote, we don't have to make a vote that is like a single voice. We can make a vote that recognizes the diversity of the work. So here I'm drawing a little circle here. And what we're going to do is that each of us is going to have 3 circles. So you can vote 3 times. Shrink it. Okay. And so each of us is going to have 3 votes. And so what I'd like you guys to do is to put your three votes on the project that you think have got the best job of synthesizing the different works that have been done. So I'd like you to look at those designs, and then you'll have 3 votes to choose which design you prefer. I'm trying to duplicate the circle. Ah, no. Okay. How many are we? Guys are moving so fast, I didn't have the time to create the dots. Okay. So everybody can put 3 points. Okay, let's do 2 more minutes to finish the vote. You can't vote 3 times for the same project, by the way. Everybody voted 3 times? Yep. Okay. So for the first one, top left, we have 3. Second one, we have 3. And this one has 4. Okay. This one has 5, 6. So let's just look at the 6. Then the next one has 5. Somebody's voting with a red square. Somebody's voting with a red square, right?
I was screaming with the red square. I can't move the red
No
dot.
worries.
I don't know why.
It's okay. No worries.
Okay.
Okay. Then Canosa's design 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it looks like Canosa hexagonal design has the most votes. So if you see this design that's hexagonal, the shape, I would say, so the shape is the simplest, but then it doesn't seem to me that there's a very clear function into it. It's like a big floating aquarium. So, I mean, is it possible to say take the form of Canosa's design and those like different layers of hexagon, but then add some of the functionality of another one that's almost the same score. So this one will be 7. So for example, the design here with the long pontoon. So could we bring some of the functionalities, the ideas that there is in this design, and then bring them with Canosa's overall shape? How would you do that? So we have a hexagonal shape, and then this one proposes 3 applications within the circle. Okay, so shall we spend 5 minutes? All of us make some drawings that are inspired by those two designs. I'm just gonna copy them. Not this one, this one. So these designs seems that they have attracted the most interest. Just gonna enlarge this. So I'm just gonna enlarge this, and so we had a red area. Now we're gonna have a so you have those designs are the most popular. So shall we spend 5 minutes, all of us, in our respective notebook, and then we post how we think that we can make the synthesis of these 2 designs. So in the green circle, I will make that circle green, and I'll make it, yeah, I'll make that circle green. Okay, so shall we spend 5 minutes and make some sketches of how we could make a synthesis in this of this design? So I'm going to start the stopwatch, and maybe everybody makes some sketches. Okay, so 5 minutes of sketching. So if you have a notebook, maybe it's the fastest way. I know for me it's faster. If you have a really good mouse or really good tablet, you could also draw directly in the on the 1 minute. Ten seconds. Oh, so take a picture. I'll take a picture and I put it in the drawing. Take a picture. So this is it. Time's up. So if you can edit the picture and then put it into the, if you can put it in the drawing, that'd be perfect. Okay. Okay, I upload it. Okay. Did you guys have some drawings? So please drag and drop your drawing into the concept board. Okay, my drawing will be here. It's converting. It's going to take probably a few seconds. So do you guys have some drawings? Okay, I have one drawing. Okay, so my drawing is there. I'd like to add some colors to it. So there'll be like an area. Okay. So maybe we could have the different drawings to be very quickly explained. So maybe I'll do the first one. So this year I show you what I mean by a really quick explanation. Do you guys see my screen? Yeah. So my drawing idea is that it's kind of taking the two star designs But at the same time, I'm trying to still integrate some of the ideas like the bubble, like a bubble belt around. And then also I'm trying to take the idea of the multiple nets, this idea to have like multiple layers, to have like sort of a protection. So I'm trying to integrate this idea as well, because it also has quite a lot of likes, and then to make it easily accessible from the beach. So like this, when we have our presentation, it's very easy. Basically, long pontoon reaching to like a central pontoon. And I just try to have like a building that has no hard boundaries. So that's the idea. Okay, who's made this red sketch?
That's me.
Yeah.
I combine the two shapes, like educational use, floating platform, and also use the hexagon shape as the fish farming, and use a walkway to connect the two parts.
And what is this 3 lines here?
It's a false line.
Okay.
It's no use.
Okay, no problem. Very cool. This one, it looks like it's very tall. Is it like in depth?
So that one's mine. It was basically the idea to make it into a fish farm. So it's basically the same principle as Zhengyu, and it should be a net, to show that it goes into the depth. And it also shows that you could, instead of still use the same principle with the connector, but instead of using squares, you could just use the hexagons.
Okay, very cool. And this one, garbage collecting device. Okay.
Yeah, basically it's this very similar idea to yours. It's like fish farming in the middle, and then surrounding are some mesh for the debris collecting, and we can grow algae as well. And yeah, we can use the hexagon shape. Yeah, it's very similar.
Okay, and then you mentioned this one, right? And then there's one more drawing that has appeared at the bottom right with a nice perspective, and then somebody who is sleeping in the bottom of the sea.
I think the one I did is the main point is not like hexagon. It can be any shape. I was thinking maybe I can make use of the deck, which can turn from like a linear to a circle, and then attach a different net on to it, and then it can become a floor for different purpose. And then below would be the fish farm, and then people can look down and maybe can see.
Okay, very cool. Okay, I think that we are narrowing down on a design. Do you guys want to choose one particular design right now, and then this is what we stick to, and then during the next 2 days we can divide the work and focus on specific areas? Is there one design you like, the design of Canossa Strait, or can we have just a show of hand this time, or just like a consensus? What would you like to do? Would you like to do another round of voting on those designs, and we just choose one design, or how would you like to proceed? How would you like to proceed?
I think using the dot is okay.
Yeah, so voting.
Okay, this time only one vote, so it's also faster. So everybody has one vote. I'm gonna take this shape to vote. I think I'll go for I think I'll go for mine. So you can vote for any You can take any shape that you want. There's one more idea that came with the crane. So what I'd say is that if you come up with more ideas, as we are going to be dividing the work into like sub parts. For example, I can see there's a camera that was suggested by Zeng here. It's okay. Then maybe even in the general projects, we can integrate then other ideas. So it doesn't mean there's the end. So it looks like these votes are more towards my suggestion of design. What I'd like to, I hope you're not doing this because because I'm the teacher. Okay, so let's prepare for the presentation for Friday. So we have all these different blocks, and then each of us have already put ourselves into a specific area. But I think we need to also have not only the core research, but we also have to have the general slides. So, for example, here, what I'd like to show you is that I'm going to start a slide deck. And so here, so I create a presentation on Google. And what I like to do is that each of us takes a piece of that presentation. So when we make the presentation on Friday, some of us present first the problem that we're trying to address. Then another person will show the general concepts. And then we're going to show the subsystems and how we're going to build it and how people are going to use it. So, so who likes to make like a general view, general drawing? So we can basically, because we just want to have one person, for example, for ocean debris, one person for research and education, one person for farming algae. So can you please reposition yourself and put yourself on another slide so you're not just focused on your particular area of research, but also cover the other slides. So who can speak about the general problem that we are addressing? So giving more context. Can you please put your name there? So if you don't have one part that you are focused on right now, can you please take your name and put your name up there? So who's going to take this one? What's the problem that we are trying to address? So for this one, the yellow one. Okay, I see Max, excellent. Who's going to make the general concept? So like a kind of a big drawing where we show generally like what's the general shape of it? Who's going to make the general drawing? At this stage, it's okay, you know, like because we're going to be working in parallel, there will be some mismatch, you know, like you don't have to wait for the design of the detail to propose the general concept. General concept is kind of like an overview. So who can make the overview design? Can somebody go on to that task? I see, Jessica, that you're hovering above a design that was earlier. There's like a big donut surrounded by like many hexagon. If it was your design, I think you have good render abilities. Would you be willing to do that?
Oh, that wasn't mine. I was just looking.
Oh, was it Oswin? So who made that that render here? This render.
It's me.
could you please do the general concept design?
Sure.
Thank you. For the subsystem, so who's going to talk about ocean debris? So there's only one that should remain on that. So who's got the most passion or the most experience about ocean debris? Maybe somebody who has gone to do some beach cleanup before, so have a good sense of how it's done. Jessica, Yun, or Maxwell, or Senna? So Kanosa, you're going to be doing, this is how I build it? Oh.
I'm thinking.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I do have to run into a meeting now, but I'm going to share with you these slides, Floating Marine Laboratory. And so please put yourself, after the meeting, I'll come back to this presentation so I can also work on it. But I'll share this with you. And so the idea is that there will be one slide per person. And so like this, we can all add our parts. If you are making details, or if you are making a general view, please upload it on the upload your STL file on the GitHub, so that this we can all have access to all the files. If somebody is dependent, you know, on your is dependent on your part of the design, that would enable us to see that everybody can see everybody else's design. So if you're making, say, plastic collection detail or subsystem, then you will share your part of the design. If you're making, let's say, if you're making another part like fisheries, then you will also share your detail. Okay. If there are multiple people in one area, I see, for example, in research and education, there's 2, fish farming, there's still 3 people. Please choose only one person for that specific area, and then the other person are going to go in another area. Okay. Do you have any questions? I think we should meet, we have an hour before we present to them. So the idea is that you want to prepare as much as you can for the session. Then they will join for the second hour of Friday. So we will have another hour, but don't think that this hour is going to be for design. This hour is more going to be for ironing how we run through the presentation, basically. So we'll have 1 hour to prepare how we present it, and then we will work with them for 1 hour and get their feedback. So I think our presentation would be probably like 10-15 minutes. And then we will have mostly discussion with them, and when they probably give us a lot of reference to look at. Okay, good for everybody? Yeah, I'm gonna copy paste the presentation link here, so you're not looking for it, for the link. So this you have it right there. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, and I see you on Friday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.